Welcome, guys. Welcome to Spiritual Agility. It's your girl, Maya G, and your boy.
Victor Jr., your brother with an open heart.
And today in Spiritual Agility podcast, we're going to talk about a topic that, I know Victor has a lot of feedback and some of our past guests have talked about. And the topic for today is addiction. So, Victor, I personally don't have any real experience with addiction, at least not drug addiction. I believe that everyone at one point in their lives suffered from some type of addiction, whether it was lover or money or whatever, some type of addiction of a thing. But can you kind of like enlighten us when it comes to addiction with drugs? Like how do you go into, like, how do you fall into addiction to any kind of drugs?
For myself, it started way back in the 1900s.
literally.
No, it was back in the 1990s when I was in Southern California in LA, and I was screwing up in other aspects of my life, and I was, dealing with my own ADD and just not wanting to listen to authority or adults, and just went out on my own at 16. And I was in LA, and it was just a struggle being there. I remember there was a time where I attempted suicide because I felt so lonely. I felt like I was nothing and there was nowhere to go. And we'll talk about that story another time because it's a great story. But anyways, after all that, I had a couple of friends that were just like, hey, at this time it was called Crank.
Crank?
Yeah, it was called Crank.
So you get real crunk when you're on that?
Yeah. And they put all these chemicals in it.
Wow.
But
name like 3 chemicals, for sure, were definitely on there.
Embalming fluid.
Stop it.
Embalming fluid. Rat poisoning.
Say what?
Yep. Rat poisoning.
But wait a minute. Hold on. Pause on that. Now with rat poisoning, which is, I'm guessing it's a chemical to kill rats, mm-hmm. right? But generally, when they're testing any kind of meds or anything else, they usually test it on rats first mm-hmm. before they give it to us. So if the drug formulators are using rat poisoning in the drug that they're giving to humans, how does that work?
Well, I think they put like a very little bit of it in there.
Wow.
It's not enough to like actually kill you.
Okay.
Amphetamines, they just pull up a bunch of different chemicals to try to carry that drug into your system and give you the result of being active, and that's where you get the jitters and your mind just doesn't sleep. Your mind just keeps going and going and going.
So does that kind of like give you the feeling like you're having anxiety? Like, how does that work?
No, it was for myself. I felt like,
if you can recall that.
Yeah, no, I could recall that really clearly. It was staying up, being creative, doing so much, except for I didn't realize it at the time that after you're up for so long, for 3-4 days at a time, your mind starts to play tricks on you because you're keeping yourself from sleeping, from resting. Your mind's not resting at all. So you start hallucinating, seeing things.
Wow.
And I moved from Crank to the new drug that had came out way back then was crystal meth. But it was called crystal. And then they over time enhanced that, and it got more pure and more pure and more pure and more addictive.
Wow.
So I was so addicted to crystal meth that even when I was in a relationship for 15 years, I was still doing it like 7-8 times a year, and maybe even more than that. I think it was way more than that.
7 to 8 times a year now. So when you are trying the drug, how long is the effect actually going?
The effect when
and
you
is that a
first
needle
do it,
drug, or like you cook it? How does it work?
You could use, they cook it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people who are cooking it, they get, they have their own addiction because they're inhaling those fumes. So you could actually smoke it, melt it down. You could actually inject it, which after you snort it, you start losing that's where they call chasing the dragon. So, I started chasing the dragon, trying to find that first high that I wanted to get, even though I knew I probably couldn't get it. There's other ways that you could try to get it.
Okay.
So I tried, snorting it first. And then after snorting it, I started to just smoke it. After smoking it, then about probably in 2010, I started to actually inject it. And I used to hide it so well from everybody, from people.
And you were looking sexy.
Oh, I thought I was.
Right? Looking like the only runway model.
Yeah. I'm too sexy.
That's it.
No, but I didn't, I just kept using and using, and then just it got worse and worse and worse. And my relationship, I had left that 15-year relationship, got into another relationship with another guy who was addicted to meth, and we were both just doing it, and we just went crazy on each other. And it was just so bad to where there was a point in my life to where I almost lost my life. And I said, look, I got to stop this shit. I got to clean up. And that was 7 years ago. And I cleaned up, checked myself into rehab, because I knew that was the only way I could do it. And rehab sucked. Rehab sucked for me. I slept on a cot. I had to get up and clean every day. Sometimes I would have to work overnight just to clean the floors, but I stayed with it and I kept doing it. And I started to clean up, and I finally decided that I know I have an addiction. I still have that addiction, but it's a choice that you have to come to say, okay, your life went to shit. And are you going to live your life like that? Or do you want to improve your life? So I made a decision to never use again, to take control of my life. And I haven't touched it. I've been around people, family, friends, even clients when I was driving for rideshare, that I've kicked out of my vehicle because they're like, hey, I have this and that. I'm like, okay, you guys got to go. This is it.
Good for you.
And I think this last relationship I had, I think it felt like I was being tested, because that person also is addicted to methamphetamine.
But how, that's a good way for the universe, a higher self, to test us, is to, put us in positions to where we have to face the things that we fought for so long, so hard. And it's almost like, well, before I give you this cookie or before I take you to the next stage of your life, I'm going to go ahead and check you out one more time to make sure and see how committed are you to having the great life that I have for you. And I personally feel that this happens in everything, whether you're addicted to drugs, you're addicted to sex, you're addicted to alcohol, whatever your addiction is. I truly believe right before you come to that fork in the road, to where you're supposed to be going, to the direction towards you're supposed to be heading towards, that test comes along. And it's almost like, it's not like that dangling carrot test. It's almost like a tap in the shoulder test, because you've already mastered it. You've already mastered how to move on from what's not serving you, because like you were telling us offset, you did extra time in rehab just to make sure that you would be good. And once you felt you were good spiritually and emotionally, you're like, okay, I'm over this. So that it prepared you when you got into that relationship that was not going to serve you, because they're not ready to serve themselves. That's why they kind of caught up in that, and you would be able to face it. Would you agree?
I do, and that's why when you're explaining this to me, I was smiling, because it's something that I feel like I did overcome. And this relationship, I mean, he just kept going back to using. I even left, and was gone for about 6-7 months, came back to help him out, take him to rehab, and he just kept leaving, kept using, and I just kept tolerating. And one day I just said, you know what? This is fucking with my own sobriety. I don't have to deal with this, because I've dealt with this in my life already. And I'm not going to be your crutch. I'm not going to be the person who's always here for you to take you in when you don't want to do anything yourself. Because if you can't help yourself, and nobody's going to be able to help you. And I still have all that love within my heart for him, that I wanted him to get the help. I wanted him to change. I wanted him just to stop using, because I know his potential. I know where he could be. I know where he could accelerate his life, but that's not up to me.
Sure it's not. And I truly, truly, truly believe that there are some demons that other people are battling. And when I say demons, I'm talking about dark energy, I'm talking about heavy energy. There are certain things that we need to go through in order for our spiritual self, not the physical self, our spiritual self to evolve. And if we're able to surrender and evolve, what's on the other side of that is amazing. I looked at some of Victor's pictures when he was addicted to methamphetamine, and it completely different person. And I can't even, and I'm sure he was still a great guy then, but it's like once you surrender and you come to term that, what, this is greater than me, because all you have to do, because I truly believe this, all you have to do when it comes to your spirituality is to ask for help. And once you surrender, say, I need help, I don't know how to do this by myself, I promise you, help is like literally around the corner. Whether it's a phone call, an email, a television commercial, something pop up on your phone, you don't even have to say it. Once you mentally admit that you have a problem and your problem is addiction, whatever the addiction is, help is on the way. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but you have to be willing.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to be willing. I was willing at that time. I was tired of dealing with that lifestyle. I was tired of being on the streets for days on end. I was tired of traveling or walking through the streets and looking for trying to find that dragon.
Chasing that dragon.
Trying to find that same high that I had. But in the meantime, while you're chasing that addiction, everything else around you is just falling off, and just your life is just going down and down, because you're neglecting everything else. You're neglecting your own spiritual care for your body, mind, and spirit. You're not getting any sleep, so your mind is just tweaking out.
It's warping.
Yeah. And there's also long-term effects from that.
For sure.
From the use. There's long-term
and it
effects.
It ages you.
Yes.
You will lose quite a bit of a quality quality years of your life, by using. So if you're out there and you're struggling with addiction, I'm sending you prayers and love and light, coming from us at Spiritual Agility Podcast. Also, we also had a great loss yesterday. Hip hop legend DMX. DMX is from the 90s era, 90s to early 2000. If you don't know who he is, you could look him up. DMX is an amazing, amazing legend. And we lost him to addiction. I'm not sure what kind of addiction he had.
I'm not sure either. I do have something to say about that, though. If you're out there and you do have an addiction, even having the addiction and dealing with that addiction and not, being clean for 7 years from that drug, it makes not, how can I sound? I'm just going to be straight out. It makes me feel very, very happy with myself that I made a decision in my life to stop using when I did. I made a decision to think about me first. And yes, even after 7 years, I got into a relationship where they were using, and I had to come to a decision and say, look, I gotta leave. I've given you 5 chances. You keep going back. I'm not going to tolerate this anymore, because you have to say stop at a point.
Yes.
And I won't go back to that relationship.
That's it.
I'm not going to.
That's it.
That's because it's me. I have to think about me, my sobriety, my health. And I love myself too much to surround myself with anybody like that anymore.
Yeah.
And if you're suffering with that addiction and you're still breathing right now, you're one lucky motherfucker. I'm just saying. You are, because look at what happened to DMX. Look at what happened to several other people.
Whitney Houston.
Look at what happened.
Michael Jackson.
Look, Prince.
Emma James.
Yeah.
It's the list goes on, and these are all phenomenal people.
Creative people.
Very creative. And generally it is creative people that go out. And being a creator and sit alongside another creator, I will tell you that I've never done any kind of illegal drugs. But at one point, I was having issues with focusing, and I was taking these pills that they're off market, off brand, and I was taking them to help me focus. And let me tell you something, I'd be focused for hours, and I got so much done to a point that one day I was out of pills. I couldn't find them. I'm looking in the desk. I'm everywhere looking. I'm calling my friends, say, hey, can you get me? No, I can get you that right now. And even though it wasn't like your hardcore crack, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, whatever, I was so addicted to that focus that I was taking these pills for it. And it's not until now I actually thought about it, I was really addicted, and why was I addicted? Because I'm a creator, and creatives, we need our focus to get things done. And, being an entrepreneur, business owner, it's hard sometimes because you have so much coming at you to stay focused. So those pills were helping me stay focused. Now, to regular people taking them, whether you're taking Adderall and all this other stuff, I realized that, it's prescription and it helps, but it's also an addiction.
One addiction is not greater than the other. One addiction is not less than the other because it's an addiction.
Right.
It's something that you feel that you have to have.
You have to have.
And there's no matter what kind of a drug it is or whatever it is, it's still an addiction. It could even be food. You have to have
it. It's
food.
an addiction.
The other day I was flipping binging off food. I was like, damn, I feel so hungry. And I wasn't hungry. I was full, but I was eating cheese sticks, all this other crap that I'm like, oh, hell no. What am I going to do? Eat the refrigerator next?
And it happens. And, and for me, once I felt like this is a problem. If I don't have this, I can't get my work done. That was the point I said, nope, we're stopping. We're going to stop right here. We're going to go ahead and put a dot right there. What I replaced it though, because once you get rid of whatever the addiction is, you're able to conquer that. And this is the first time I'm having this conversation, by the way. I never talked about this. Like I said, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. We all working on something. Once I stopped using the Focus pills off market brand, almost like, I guess they're kind of like similar to Adderall. Once I got off of that, how I replaced that was meditation. And even though I was meditating before, meditating was very hard because it was almost like there was always something going on. So now, once I let that go, my mind got used to it's almost like the brain had been training. So now it already knows how to focus. So it's not so much that it even needs the drug anymore. It knows how to focus. So now when I go into meditation, the brain is already used to focusing under the influence. So now it's already been trained. I go into meditation right before I have to do a big task, and I meditate for focus purposes, and I get right through it.
Nice.
I'm not saying that everybody can do it, but, I prayed on it. I worked on it, and that's what I got.
One thing is for sure is that when you're addicted to anything, no matter what, even if it's just coffee.
A lot of people are addicted to coffee now.
Yeah, I have a cup of coffee every day.
I have no tolerance for coffee. Caffeine don't work for mine. No.
So no matter what the addiction is, they say to do something else, like keep yourself busy. But you also want to be careful by keeping yourself busy that you're not developing another addiction.
Yes.
Because you could develop an addiction of just drawing all the time, if that's what you're doing, or writing, and you develop that same addiction to replace that other one. It's not just replacing that with something else or keeping yourself busy. You should do that, yes. However, the other thing is you have to come to a realization that you have to tell yourself mentally to stop.
Yes.
You have to say, okay, I'm doing too much of this. What can I do next? What can I do next for me, for myself to grow? My problem was I was trying to take care of my ex, trying to say, I
try to be a mom.
Trying to be a mom. I believed that he could become clean because I did it. But just because I did it at my time doesn't mean it was his time.
But isn't it also that sometimes you have to lose something in order for you to switch, to change? Because once he lost you, if he really loves you, it's going to force him into changing.
Mhm.
Something, it's amazing. Like, once you get into a certain age, the only way you can learn, grow, and evolve is through pain.
But you know what? Also on the other end, and for you guys who are out here watching and listening, you have to do it for you.
Absolutely. But see, in order for you to do it for yourself, you need to know that you're worthy of being loved.
Yep.
Some people don't know they're enough. So if they're struggling, that imposter syndrome, you know what I mean? That could be the holdup. And that's really the biggest problem, is that a lot of people not knowing that they're good enough, that they don't need to be doing it for nobody else but themselves. And sometimes we have to let them go in order for them to grow. Because if we try to be, I want to be here for you, I want to take care of you, that doesn't work. It really doesn't work, because that's why a lot of time when people grow to or evolve to the next version of themselves, they usually leave the person that was there with them, because now they feel like, I could do better than that. So when people are not up to par and they're not loving you the way you deserve to be loved, or not being their true authentic self, they're not loving themselves. Because somebody who's doing drugs, I hate to break it to you, they don't love themselves enough. Okay. Once you love yourself, from what you eat, what you watch, what you listen to, that's all has to do with self-love. So
and discipline.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Because I could drink 5 cups of coffee a day. That's me. I could drink
How?
coffee all day and neglect water.
I'd be climbing the top of the building.
I could neglect water. But you know what? I tell myself now is I get 1 cup, because my body doesn't even need 1 cup.
There you go. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna. I love the taste of it. Yes, I love. I like the coffee. But
what kind of coffee is that?
I drink the any type of coffee.
Cuban coffee.
Cuban coffee.
Café con leche. Gotta have that. Gotta have that. I used to be really addicted to coffee, but for some reason, I want to say the past year and a half, I have zero tolerance for caffeine. Like, I really have anxiety, panic attacks with caffeine, so I don't do caffeine anymore. Yeah.
That's good, actually. I've been buying fruit. I've been buying a lot of fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, been buying.
Yeah, your skin looking good.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I need more sun so I can get a little.
Well, you're in the right place for that. But, in conclusion today, guys, we have to bring you humor, because life is all about having a good time. But, just if you're battling any kind of addiction, just take a moment, take a look at yourself, take a look at your life. We wake up every morning smelling the air, breathing, inhaling, and smelling nature, and being so thankful that we've, conquered so many things. And if you're out there battling any type of addiction, I want to let you know. Leave us
comments.
Yes, leave us comments. Share this message with anyone you know that's battling addiction, depression, all that stuff.
Your environment too.
Absolutely.
Your environment
plays
is
a big part.
100%. Like, that's why I got into my car. I left the relationship, drove over 2,300 miles all the way to Florida. I wake up in the morning, and I wake up earlier than I ever did before.
What time you get up?
But sometimes 4:30.
Yes.
Most of the time 6.
Beat the sun.
I'll get up that early, but I don't pick up my cell phone. I don't go on Facebook. Nice. I don't do none of that. I just have me time. I just have me, and I take my time on me, because I deserve it. I deserve that in my life. I open up my balcony. Oh Lord, I was living like in the desert in California. I could smell the sweet ocean breeze just yesterday when I was walking dogs. Oh my God, the coconuts had fallen they've been falling. I swear I could smell coconut and ocean. Oh Lord, have mercy. I'm getting chills right now.
Best aroma ever.
That is so amazing. Just to get up and change my environment, sometimes you need to do that. And you know what? Don't allow that fear to stop you, because you just got to take that step.
Yes.
Possibilities happen, yes, but if I was focused on the possibility of driving out here, being homeless and all that stuff, that would just weigh in on me, and I would probably end up that way. But I drove out here determined to live here, determined to find a place. And I went out, I started looking right away. I just hit the ground. You know that I hit the ground running, found a place.
Sprinting.
Yes.
Sprinting, not running, sprinting out that thing.
Found a place, and now I have a balcony. I could just feel the fresh air, and it's amazing. Your environment's everything. But if you suffer from addiction, you have to make the decision. Nobody's going to make it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to start loving yourself.
And on that note, guys, what we want to leave you with today is addiction is real. If you know anybody who's suffering from addiction, you can't change their mind. You can't change what they're doing, but what you can do is be a soundboard for them to talk to you. And from there, you'll be able to know how to assist them. If you're battling addiction and you have any type of faith in your heart, in your head, in your mind, all you have to say is, I'm asking you for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, help will be on the way. Guys, it was my pleasure to serve you today alongside with my boy, Victor Jr.
Your brother with an open heart.
Yes, it's your girl, Maya G. Until next time, guys, spiritual agility is a real thing. Subscribe, follow, and share. And peace.
Bye.